Here's more wrestling news for January 17th, 2023, and we're starting off with Cody Rhodes, as it was on this week's Raw that WWE confirmed his return and entry into the Men's Royal Rumble match. Rhodes' epic return to WWE was derailed last year thanks to his torn pectoral, but with his return to the ring mere days away, the question is, what's next for the American Nightmare? According to sources at WWE, the plan is for Rhodes to settle an old score, as it was during his feud with Seth Rollins that he tore his pec. Most of you will remember how Cody Rhodes wrestled Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell with that torn pec, and despite the odds being stacked against him, he managed to take victory in what was the most inspiring performance fans have seen from any superstar. The following night on Raw, Rhodes announced that he would be taking time off to heal from his injury, and Rollins emerged to congratulate and embrace him before snapping and attacking his rival. This angle was used to write the American Nightmare off television, so it would make sense to revisit the feud and bury it for good. WWE's sources have said that the plan is for this feud to be continued, but given that Rollins is now a face, things will have to be somewhat different. One source noted how Rollins would go on something of an elimination spree in the Men's Royal Rumble match, just enough to convince fans he will win, only to be thrown out himself by the returning Rhodes. From there, the match will see Cody win the Men's Rumble match, which will put him in the sights of Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. Reigns has been virtually unstoppable for over 2 years now, and is in need of competition that is fresh, elite, and can be seen as someone who can beat the Tribal Chief. 3 boxes the American Nightmare ticks in full. Rhodes' desire to become world champion was confirmed on the post-WrestleMania 38 Raw, and winning the Royal Rumble will be his biggest step towards fulfilling that promise to his late father. Rhodes, once the heart and soul of AEW, against the final, seemingly unbeatable boss of WWE in Roman Reigns, is a blockbuster WrestleMania main event, which would do Dusty Rhodes proud. Becoming the new world champion and becoming the first man in years to pin Roman Reigns, a win at WrestleMania would mark the perfect end to Cody's roller coaster first year back, and his journey to the top truly starts at the Royal Rumble. It's been over a month since Mandy Rose was released from WWE, and the former NXT Women's Champion has been making a killing on her website. Speaking this month on the Tamron Hall Show, Rose said she was hurt but grateful to WWE, but a recent tweet has had fans speculating on how she feels about her ex-employer. In said tweet, Rose said that a strong woman doesn't seek revenge, she instead moves on and lets karma do the dirty work, in a message many believe is aimed at WWE. A lot has changed in the time that Rose has been gone from WWE, and whatever comes next, Mandy Rose is comfortable doing her own thing away from the promotion. Over to AEW, and it was during last week's Rampage that Anna Jay, Ty Mello, Ruby Soho, and Willow Nightingale put on an epic war, one that saw plenty of blood being spilled. While it was Soho who was wearing the crimson mask, Anna Jay took a serious bump off the stage at one point as she was powerbombed off by Willow Nightingale. Jay was supposed to land on a table which would have broken her fall, but the spot missed and Jay landed on the floor. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer gave an update, saying Anna Jay is doing fine even after this dangerous spot. After the spot though, many fans took to social media to brand Nightingale as unsafe, though it is worth stressing that this is a spot Jay agreed to, even if it didn't go exactly as planned. While these bumps are planned in advance, you can never guarantee these spots will happen exactly as planned, and we're just pleased this particular spot did not cause long-term damage for the JAS member. For months, there's been speculation that The Rock will make his return to WWE at this month's Royal Rumble, and fans are eager to see him back. Fans will love to see a people's elbow from the Brahma Bull, but when Baron Corbin attempted that move during a live event match with Dolph Ziggler, the crowd weren't on board. Ziggler would escape from the move before Corbin landed on him, and would seal the deal with a super kick to get the win over the former US champion. The Rock uses the people's elbow to signify his relationship with the people and the great deal of respect he has for the fans, so it's hardly surprising that a man who has shown the fans nothing but disdain couldn't hit the people's elbow. It was just a few months ago that Nikki ASH hung up her mask and superhero costume and reverted back to the wild and unpredictable Nikki Cross. But despite a strong start following her revamp, Cross hasn't been featured in too many feuds since then, but a storyline could be on the horizon for the former Raw Women's Champion. Fightful Select reports that WWE has had a Nikki Cross drawing produced for an upcoming angle, though there's no telling what it'll be. With Eric Young set to return to WWE soon, many expect that a new Sanity is in the works, and perhaps this upcoming angle will see Cross reunite with the popular NXT faction. It was back at WrestleMania 38 that Rick Boogs went down with a torn quadricep and patellar tendon that forced his and Shinsuke Nakamura's tag team match with the Usos to end in a hurry. Since then, Boogs has been out of action, but on YouTube this week has started promoting his return. In one video titled "Start of a Massive Comeback," Boogs performed some heavy deadlifts to the famous Rocky theme, and in another can be seen using a jumping rope and pushing his car. All of these acts show Boogs' leg all healed up, and expect the guitarist grappler to bring his energetic enthusiasm back to WWE TV sooner rather than later, possibly as soon as the Royal Rumble. We've got some news from across the pond now, as Progress Wrestling has announced Lio Rush for an upcoming show. The former WWE Cruiserweight Champion is set to take on Danny Black at this week's Progress Chapter 148 event, and the former superstar can add Progress to the lengthy list of promotions, including WWE, AEW, MLW, New Japan, PWG, and AAA that he has worked. Over to Raw now, as for weeks, a Hurt Business reunion has been teased, with MVP making his presence known to Bobby Lashley, who initially rejected his former manager's offer. This week, MVP was ringside for Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin's loss to the Street Profits, and was also with the returning Omos when he demolished Elias. In the main event, though, MVP brought Omos out, and while Lashley thought it was to distract him, it turned out to be an assist. Omos' presence distracted Seth Rollins, who stomped the Giant, but this gave Lashley the time to pick up the win and become the #1 contender for the US title. Now Lashley will face Austin Theory next week, and this week's Raw was a hint that the Hurt Business will reform with Omos as a new member. More from Raw, as this week's show was packed with Red Brand talent, but things were busier than usual behind the scenes. Prior to the show, PW Insider reported that SmackDown's Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Drew McIntyre were all backstage, though in the case of McIntyre, he wasn't used on TV. Bo Dallas was backstage as well, giving more credence to the belief that he is Uncle Howdy, who was also on the show. Johnny Gargano, who hasn't wrestled on WWE TV since November due to a shoulder injury, was also backstage in Cincinnati and has made several backstage appearances on programming alongside Dexter Lumis and Candice LeRae. WWE NXT superstars Odyssey Jones and Von Wagner were also backstage, as they also worked the WWE main event tapings that evening. In Jones's case, he got a win over Akira Tozawa, while Wagner would not fare so well, suffering a defeat at the hands of Mustafa Ali. Things were certainly packed behind the scenes of this week's Raw, but we imagine that it'll be nothing compared to next week, with Legends galore announced for Raw's 30th anniversary. And we're ending with the Royal Rumble, and this year's event will mark the 6th Women's Royal Rumble match in WWE history. We already know some of the names in the match, including Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Candice LeRae, and now a name from WWE's past has fancied her chances. Speaking on the Ring the Bell podcast, Candice Michelle was asked about appearing and said she is fully on board to make a one-off return. Michelle is so eager to wrestle in this year's Women's Royal Rumble that she pointed out that she lives in Texas, where this year's event will take place on January 28th. Whether the former Women's and 24/7 champion appears, that's a decision for WWE's creative team to make, but she sure won't be saying no if given the opportunity.